Hey guys and girls, we are going to talk about ratios and unit rates. So our learning target today, I'm going to learn how to use ratios to compare quantities. And today I'm going to learn how to turn ratios into unit rates. So a ratio is a comparison of two numbers by division written in several different forms. In fact, you can write a ratio in three different ways. So if I said there are 5 cars to every 2 stores, I could write that ratio 5:2 with the word 2. The second one with a colon, I would also say 5:2, 5:2, which is kind of weird to say, and then the last one looks like a fraction, but when you're talking about a ratio, you would say the same thing, 5:2. All right, so you can show ratios in 3 different ways. So what is a ratio? When we're writing a ratio, we need to make sure we pay attention to the order of the words and make sure the numbers match the words. So the order of the numbers in a ratio should match the order of the words in a ratio. So when I say apples to oranges, so since there's 2 apples, the 2 must come first. Since the word oranges comes second, since there's 3 oranges, that means the 3 must be written second. So order is very important when we're talking about ratios. Ratios can be written in several different ways. Like I said, we can use the word 2, we can use a colon, and we can use what looks like a fraction. So if I'm talking about red to black, oh, I'm missing one of my, there it is. So we're talking about 3 red tiles to, there's only 1 black tile. So our ratio would be 3:1, and that's written all 3 ways. We can represent part to part or part to total. So for example, if we're only talking about the green and the red triangles, not all of them, but each section, like the green ones and the red ones. If we want to talk about the ratio of red to green, well, there's 1 red triangle and 2 green triangles. So that would be our ratio, 2:1. However, if we say green first, there's 2 green ones, so we have to put the 2 first. All right. So what if we want to know how many red triangles, what's the ratio of red triangles to total triangles, where there's 3 total triangles and only one of them is red. So our total would be, our ratio would be 1:3. If we're saying how many green triangles to total triangles, our ratio is 2:3. Ratio can show comparisons between total to part. For example, we want to compare out of the total number of triangles, what is the ratio of total to red? Well, since there's 3 total triangles, we're going to put 3 first. So we would say 3:1. What about total triangles to green triangles? That would be 3:2. All right, so if we have 8 roses out of 24 flowers, we could write our ratios 8:24, 3 ways. And then the second example is 3 dogs out of 12 animals, and we could write 3:12, 3 different ways. Now, one thing about ratios is they can always be simplified, just like a fraction. So if you look at 8 and 24, those are both divisible by 8. And if I said, what is the ratio of roses to flowers in simplest form, the answer would be 1:3. And we would write it all 3 ways, depending on the directions. 1:3, 1:3. So what would be 3:12 in simplest form? It'd be 1:4. 1:4, because I could divide both of these numbers by 3, and I would get 1:4. So just like fractions, you can also simplify ratios. So here is the 8:24. We divide both by 8, we get 1:3. And then what if we had 4:12? We could divide 4 and 12 both by 4, and we would get 1:3. Now, even though I only suggested that you guys print the last 3 sheets of my notes, make sure that you are also on your own taking a few notes, just so you can remember all of this. All right, ratios that can simplify to the same ratio are called equivalent ratios. So if I said, are these two ratios equivalent? You can say, yes, they are. Because if I simplified 2 to 12, I would get 1 to 6. Are these two ratios equivalent? Are these two ratios equivalent? What about this one? Yes. What about this one? No, because to simplify, that would be 1 to 4, not 1 to 9. All right. Which of these ratios are equivalent? What do you guys think? It is the first one and the last one, right? Because if I divided 9 and 45 by 9, I would get 1 to 5. If I divided 2 and 8 by 2, I would get 1 to 4. And if I divided 4 and 20 by 4, I would get 1 to 5. So this ratio and this ratio, they are equivalent. Which of these ratios are equivalent? Do you guys get it? Well, this one's in simplest form. If I divide 10 and 25 by 5, I would get 2 to 5. I can't change the order. If I divide them by 5, I get 2 to 5. And if I divide these both by 7, I can divide them by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5, and 14 divided by 7 is 2. So did you guys say the first one and the last one? Yep, you can't change the order of the numbers. That one almost tricked me. I almost said it was the first two, but it isn't. It's the first and last one. So double check your answers like I need to as well. All right, the ratio of eggs to servings is 3 to 1. Which statement is correct? For every 1 egg, there are 3 servings. For every 3 eggs, there is 1 serving. For every 4 eggs, there is 1 serving. For every 1 egg, there are 4 servings. Did you guys get it? Did you pick letter B? Remember, the order of the words match the order of the numbers. So for every 3 eggs, there is 1 serving. So the order is very important. One class has 14 girls and 8 boys. What is the ratio in simplest form of boys to total students? Everybody answer that one, please. All right, well, how many boys are there? There are 8 boys, right? Can't find my pen. 8 boys, 2, and it says total students. So did you guys add 14 and 8? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That'd be 8 to 22. Of course, that's not in simplest form. We can divide 8 and 22 both by 2. So we would get 4 to 11. So that's the answer in simplest form. All right, let's look at this definition. A rate, a ratio that compares different kinds of units by division to obtain a unit rate or rate per unit. So for example, what is a rate? A unit rate has a denominator of 1. Unit rate always means how much for 1. So if I was traveling 120 miles in 2 hours, that means I'm traveling 60 miles per 1 hour, or 60 miles per hour. That's a unit rate. So what if I was traveling 395 miles in 5 hours? Well, you can write it as a fraction. If we're going to travel 395 miles in 5 hours, we would divide 395 miles in 5 hours. I would say that I am traveling, oh, I'm actually speeding. Actually, that's an 8. No, it's a 9. I am going 79 miles per hour. 79 miles per hour. So maybe we're on the Autobahn in Germany because there's no speed limit on the Autobahn. So 79 miles per hour. Express each ratio as a rate. If there's 5 inches of rain in 30 days, how many inches of rain per day? How many inches of rain? So the inches per days. So even though we want to divide 30 by 5 and get 6, you have to follow the order of the words. Inches per day. So we're going to divide 5 by 30. So that means we have to add a decimal and a 0. 30 will go into 50 once. Get a remainder of 20. So bring down a 0. 30 will go into 200. What? 6 times 30 is 180. Get a remainder of 20. And so this would go on and on and on forever. So it would be 0.166666. So we would round it to about 0.17 inches per day. All right, so you have to pay attention to the words. You have to divide the first word by the second word, okay? All right, let's see what else. How many words per minute? If we can type 120 words in 3 minutes, how many words, 120 words per 3 minutes? That's gonna be 40. 120 divided by 3 is 40 words per, that slash means per, P-E-R, minute. So 40 words per minute. All right, if I travel 300 miles in 6 hours, how many miles per hour? 300 miles in 6 hours. I'm going to divide 300 by 6 and I get 50 miles per hour. 50 miles per hour. What about if I read 80 pages in 2 hours? How many pages per hour? 80 pages in 2 hours. 80 divided by 2 is 40 pages per hour. That's my unit rate. All right, I hope you guys are doing these. I hope you've already done them and you're checking your answer. That would be awesome. If we scored 54 points in 3 games, how many points per game? So 54 divided by 3. So that would go once. And we would say it would be 18 points per game. And then I think there's one more. If I could type 1,000 words in 25 minutes, how many words per minute? 1,000 words in 25 minutes. So I know that 25 will go into 100 4 times. It's like 4 quarters makes $1, right? I have no remainder, bring down a 0. I still have a empty spot here, so I have to add a 0. So that would be 40 words per minute. All right, let's look at a few more. Now, like I said, you always divide the first word, that number that goes with the first word, by the second number, second word, unless we're talking about unit rate as in prices. In this situation, you always divide the money by the quantity, okay? If I paid $30 for 6 books, or this is written, I bought 6 books for $30, how much did I pay per book? So your money is always divided by how many you bought. So $30 divided by 6 books is 5. So I spent $5 per book. So if you're talking about unit rate, as in money, it's always the money divided by the quantity. If I spent $4.50 on 10 pencils, almost said pizzas, how much did I spend per pencil? Well, 10 goes into 45 4 times, and 10 into 50 goes 5. So I spent 45 cents per pencil. All right, you guys do these ahead of me now and check your answers. All right, what about if I spent $1.20 for 3 apples? $1.20 for 3 apples, I would spend 40 cents per apple, for 40 cents per apple. What about 4 baseballs for $16? That means I spent $4 per baseball. 4 binders for $12. I spent $3 per binder. $6.50 for 2 burgers. That means I spent half of that, $3.25 per burger. What about this one? I spent $4 on 12 sodas. So don't forget, it's always the money, even though it's written, so the 12 is first, it's always the money divided by the quantity. So on this one, you might want to say immediately the answer is 3, but that's not right, because we're putting 4 in the box, 12 outside the box. I have to add a decimal and a 0. 12 will go into 43 times, and that's 36. Remainder of 4, so I'm going to keep getting 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. I'm going to keep getting the same remainder. So it's about 33 cents per soda. That's a cheap soda, you guys. $100 for 8 shirts. How much did I spend per shirt? Well, $100 divided by 8. That would be what? 2, 16. So it'd be $12.50. $12.50 per shirt. Oh, that was it. Now, you know, when you go to the grocery store, they have, especially on the cereal aisle, right? At the top, they'll have like 4 rows of cereals. At the very top is usually the smallest box. The next shelf, there's a medium box. The next shelf, right where your eye level is, they have a huge, great big jumbo family size box. And that's what they want the kids to see, because they're going to say, Mom, get this one. It's got the most cereal. So you're not going to be paying the same price per ounce of cereal in all of those boxes. So the smaller box is always going to be the less amount of money. However, it's not always the better buy. So the better buy means you want to get as much food or whatever it is you're buying for your money. So in other words, you want the cheapest price per ounce or per pound or whatever it is, okay? And almost 100% of the time, the biggest box is cheapest per ounce. Not always, but if you look at the little grocery store price thing, there's always a unit rate on there. And when I'm buying anything, I'm always looking at the unit rate. I want the best deal for my money. But if you don't see the unit rate on there, we can figure out what the unit rate is. So let's say that Publix was having a sale. The sale is that you can buy a 40-ounce box of Fruity Pebbles for $10, or a 20-ounce box of Fruity Pebbles for $7. Well, of course, the smaller box, you're going to spend less money, but is it the better buy? So let's compare. Let's divide our $10 by our 40 ounces. Well, 40 won't go into 10, so we'll add a decimal and a couple of zeros, bring that decimal straight up. 40 will go into 100 twice, and 2 times 40 is 80. So I'm going to subtract, and I get a remainder of, whoops, I added too many zeros. This should be 80 right here. Sorry. So my remainder is 20. Then I'm going to bring down that other 0, and 40 goes into 205 times. So my $10 box of cereal is 25 cents per ounce. And now let's divide our $7 box by 20 ounces. Well, 20 won't go into 7, but it'll go into 70 3 times. So 3 times 0, 3 times 2, we get a remainder of 10 cents. We'll bring down, or 10, I should say. And then 20 will go into 105 times. So we're paying 10 cents more per ounce for the smaller box. So which one's a better buy? Which one is cheapest? You spend less money for the same exact cereal. It's going to be the 40-ounce box. Okay, so that's how you do it. You divide, you find out how much for the same amount, and then it's the one that costs the least. All right, guys, I think that's it. Well, I hope you guys have a great week, and if you have any questions, you guys let me know, and I will talk to you later.